Ethan Parker was not the kind of human who expected fame or glory. He was an engineer, practical, careful, and curious. When the Galactic Council sent him to Zithera, a planet known for its advanced technology and powerful rulers, he knew the mission would be difficult, but he did not imagine it would change his life forever. Zithera's surface shimmered under the light of 3 suns. The skies were a swirl of violet and gold, and enormous floating islands hovered over deep crystal lakes. Ethan's shuttle touched down softly on a smooth landing pad near the palace. From a distance, the palace looked alive. Bioluminescent lights pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the building itself. Tall spires stretched toward the sky, and bridges made of glowing energy connected every tower. It was unlike anything he had seen. Ethan stepped out of the shuttle, adjusting his utility belt. He felt a mixture of awe and nerves. The palace doors opened silently, as if they had been expecting him. Inside, the corridors were vast and filled with soft light. Strange symbols shimmered on the walls, telling stories that Ethan could not read but somehow felt in his chest. A Zitheran attendant approached. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal, and their eyes glowed faintly. "Welcome, human. The Queen awaits your skills," the attendant said in perfect galactic common. Ethan nodded. "I'm here to repair the communication tower." The attendant led him through winding corridors to a chamber where the tower's control panels blinked erratically. Ethan's hands moved quickly over the panels, his human knowledge meeting alien technology. He adjusted circuits, replaced energy conduits, and calibrated the signals. For a moment, he felt the familiar satisfaction of fixing something. Then, a sudden, piercing cry echoed through the palace. Ethan froze. The sound was not like any machine or alarm. It was alive, desperate, and emotional. He looked up at the attendant. "That is the Queen's child," the attendant said, a note of panic in their voice. "No one can calm it. Approach carefully. It is sensitive to emotions." Ethan's heart raced. The thought of approaching a royal baby and alien one, no less, was terrifying. He had no experience with infants, and this was not an ordinary infant. But the cries pulled him forward, curiosity stronger than fear. He followed the sound to a chamber bathed in soft golden light. There, in a floating cradle that hovered mid-air, was a small creature unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Its scales shimmered in shades of blue and silver, and its large eyes glowed faintly. Tiny limbs fluttered, and a faint hum of energy radiated from its body. The baby's cries filled the room. Several attendants hovered nearby, unable to soothe the child. They moved awkwardly, afraid of making things worse. Ethan felt a sudden calm settle over him. He remembered something from his childhood, how his mother had calmed him when he was scared. Gentle, steady, calm, he whispered to himself. He stepped closer, keeping his movements slow. The baby's eyes widened, and the cries grew louder for a moment, then paused, curious. Ethan reached out a hand, not touching yet, but showing peace. "It's okay," he said softly. "You're safe." The baby's wings, small, translucent flaps, trembled. Ethan took a deep breath and gently lifted it from the cradle, supporting its fragile body. The child trembled at first but did not cry. Ethan began to rock slowly, humming a low tune. He had no idea if the tune meant anything to the alien child, but it worked. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. The baby's cries softened, then faded. Its glowing eyes blinked slowly, and a faint smile, or what Ethan assumed was a smile, appeared. The attendants gasped. This had never happened. A human, someone entirely untrained in Zitheran ways, had calmed the child. From the balcony above, Queen Lyra stepped forward. Her presence was commanding yet serene. She was tall, regal, with skin that shimmered in a subtle silver light. Her eyes, violet and deep, studied Ethan with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. "Who is this human?" she asked, her voice melodic but firm. The attendant bowed. "Your Majesty, this is Ethan Parker. He has calmed the child." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. She had seen many humans before, most ambitious, most afraid, some cruel but never one so calm and careful. She descended the balcony steps gracefully, each movement precise. "You have handled what no one else could," she said. Her gaze softened as she looked at her child, now resting quietly in Ethan's arms. "Perhaps you are more remarkable than I expected." Ethan felt his throat tighten. He had not expected praise from the most powerful being on the planet. He was just holding a baby. Lyra smiled faintly, a curious mixture of amusement and respect. "I will make you a promise," she said. "If you can keep my child calm for the rest of the evening, I will consider marriage with you." Ethan blinked. Marriage? He felt the word echo in his mind. It was unbelievable. He was a human, a stranger, and now he was being offered marriage by an alien queen. He stammered, I don't know what to say." "And say nothing," she said, her eyes twinkling. "Actions speak louder than words. If you succeed, my decision will be clear." Ethan swallowed hard. The baby shifted slightly in his arms, and he adjusted his hold. He realized this was no longer just about calming a baby, it was a test of patience, understanding, and empathy. The attendants began preparing a small chamber where Ethan could remain with the child. The room was filled with soft lights and gentle sounds designed to stimulate the baby positively. Floating toys spun slowly in the air, humming with energy. Ethan had to learn how to interact with all of it while keeping the baby content. Hours passed. Ethan experimented with different methods. When the baby fussed, he tried gentle rocking. When it seemed restless, he hummed quietly or spoke soft words. He noticed that the child responded to human emotions when he remained calm. The baby stayed calm. When he panicked, the baby mirrored his unease. Ethan realized that connection, not just technique, was the key. During a brief pause, Lyra returned to observe. "You are different from other humans," she said softly. "You are patient, understanding, gentle. These are not qualities we see often." Ethan felt warmth at her words, but remained focused on the child. I try to listen," he said honestly. "Even if I don't understand everything, I try to feel what it feels." Lyra's eyes softened. "Then perhaps this is why the child accepted you. It can sense your sincerity." Night fell on Zithera. The palace lights glowed brighter against the darkness, and Ethan found himself marveling at the beauty around him. He was holding the baby, who now rested quietly against his chest, and he thought about how fragile and strong life could be at the same time. He understood why Lyra valued this child so deeply. Finally, after long hours, the baby slept peacefully. Ethan felt a quiet pride but also disbelief. He had managed the impossible calming an alien child when no one else could. He looked up at Queen Lyra, who had been watching silently from the doorway. "You have done more than I expected," she said, her voice almost gentle now. "You have shown patience, courage, and understanding. I did not expect to find such qualities in a human." Ethan swallowed, feeling overwhelmed. "I'm just glad the baby is calm," he said humbly. Lyra approached, placing a delicate hand on the baby's back. "It is because of you," she said. Then she looked directly at Ethan. "I keep my promises. You have my attention and my consideration. Marriage is not just a reward, it is a decision I take seriously, and you have made me consider it." Ethan could not speak. Words failed him. He had faced advanced technology, alien politics, and now the weight of an entire species' respect. And yet, nothing had felt as strange or as real as holding this child in his arms. The attendants murmured among themselves, clearly astonished. Ethan realized that his actions would be remembered for a long time, not just as a human who survived Zithera, but as a human who earned the trust of its most powerful queen. Lyra finally turned, signaling the attendants to prepare a celebration for the evening. "For now, enjoy the company of my child," she said. "You have earned it, human. The rest, we shall see." Ethan sat in the chamber, cradling the baby, staring at the glowing crystals and floating toys. He felt a mixture of fear, pride, and awe. Tonight had tested him in ways he could never have imagined. Tomorrow, the challenges would continue, but for now, he had earned a place in the heart of Zithra's palace. And as he watched the baby sleep, Ethan understood that this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. something that could change the fate of two worlds. The next morning, Ethan awoke to soft beams of violet sunlight filtering through the palace's crystal windows. The baby, still resting peacefully in a floating cradle, opened glowing eyes and blinked slowly at him. Ethan's first thought was how fragile, yet vibrant this little life was. Today, he realized, would not be easy. Queen Lyra entered the chamber shortly after, her steps silent as ever. Her presence filled the room without effort. "Good morning, human," she said. "Last night you showed patience and understanding. But today you will face more subtle tests." Ethan nodded, a mixture of curiosity and nervousness swirling in his chest. "Tests?" he asked. Lyra smiled faintly. "The child is sensitive not only to emotions, but to challenges. If you can continue to maintain calm and understanding under unexpected situations, you may earn more than my consideration. You may earn respect from those who have doubted humanity for generations." Ethan's heart pounded. The idea of impressing the royal court and the alien queen simultaneously felt overwhelming, yet he had no choice but to focus. "I will do my best," he said. Attendants arrived with floating trays and gentle tools, each one designed to interact with the baby. There were tiny devices that emitted soft colors, gentle energy bursts that the baby could manipulate, and floating toys that reacted to sound and movement. Ethan watched as the baby reached out with tiny glowing fingers, interacting curiously with each object. "Observe," Lyra instructed. "The child can sense fear, impatience, and doubt. If you lose composure, it will respond accordingly. Humans often fail because they react with panic or hesitation." Ethan nodded. He kept his breathing steady and moved slowly, allowing the baby to explore the toys at its own pace. When the baby began to fuss at a floating orb, Ethan didn't grab it immediately. Instead, he smiled softly and said, "It's okay. You can play with it when you're ready." The baby hesitated, then reached again. A small glow spread from its hands as it touched the orb, and Ethan quietly encouraged it, adjusting the energy field with his own human understanding. The orb floated more steadily. The baby giggled or, at least emitted the joyful vibration that Ethan interpreted as laughter. Lyra observed quietly from the balcony. She had seen thousands of humans, but Ethan's patience and improvisation impressed her more than any display of brute strength or cunning. He seemed to understand the essence of trust. As the morning passed, Ethan noticed that the baby responded not only to calm gestures, but also to human emotion. When he laughed softly, the baby's wings fluttered with delight. When he spoke reassuring words, the child's glowing eyes softened. Every movement, every tone mattered. It was a lesson in empathy Ethan had never expected to learn so intensely. Suddenly, the room's floating platform shifted unexpectedly. A small burst of energy from the ceiling caused toys and trays to wobble. The baby squealed in alarm. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He held the child close, shielding it from the floating objects. "It's okay," he whispered, keeping his own voice steady. "You're safe with me." The baby's glowing eyes met his, and slowly, it relaxed. Lyra's lips curved into a subtle smile. Even in moments of chaos, the human did not panic. He adapted. He responded without fear. This was the essence of what she valued: calmness under pressure, creativity in unexpected situations, and genuine care. By mid-afternoon, Ethan had developed a rhythm with the child. He had learned which light, sounds, and gestures soothed it, and which caused confusion. He noticed the child reacting to his expressions, mirroring his calmness, curiosity, and focus. It was more than understanding. It was a connection that transcended species. Lyra stepped closer. "You are different from other humans," she said quietly. "Most are driven by ambition or survival. You are driven by understanding. You learn, adapt, and care. These are qualities I rarely see." Akasa shook his head slightly. "I am just trying to do what feels right. I want the child to feel safe. That's all." Lyra studied him intently. Her eyes, usually unreadable, softened. "It is more than that," she said. This patience and empathy, it shows the best of your species." Perhaps humans are not as different from us as many believe. The palace attendants, who had been observing silently, exchanged surprised glances. Humans were often seen as impulsive and unreliable. Yet here was one who could calm a royal child, navigate complex energy fields, and adapt to alien technology instinctively. It was a small act, yet it held monumental significance. Suddenly, the baby began to cry again, not out of fear, but frustration. It had discovered a floating crystal that glowed brighter than anything else in the room. The crystal's energy reacted unpredictably, bouncing light across the walls and ceiling. The child's tiny limbs waved helplessly. Ethan approached slowly, placing a hand gently on the crystal's base to stabilize it. "Easy. It's okay," he murmured. The baby looked at him, eyes wide with trust. Ethan adjusted the crystal, letting it shine gently, without overwhelming the room. The baby's cries softened and then stopped entirely. Lyra stepped closer, clearly impressed. "You do not simply react. You anticipate, you adapt. You guide without forcing. That is remarkable." Ethan smiled nervously. I'm just trying to help." "It is more than help," Lyra said softly. "It is understanding. You see, humans are often underestimated. They are seen as weak or impulsive, but you show the capacity for patience, care, and insight. These are strengths that matter as much as any weapon or technology." Ethan's cheeks flushed. He had never thought of his abilities in that way. To him, he was just doing what felt right in the moment. But here on Zathira, his instincts were proving invaluable. As the afternoon wore on, Ethan introduced gentle games to stimulate the child's mind and body. He moved toys in slow patterns, letting the baby track them with glowing eyes. He hummed soft melodies, adapting rhythms based on the child's reactions. He even allowed the child to manipulate some floating devices, encouraging curiosity while ensuring safety. Lyra watched quietly, observing the bond growing between human and child. She had expected a simple act of calming, but Ethan's approach went beyond that. He engaged the child, respected its emotions, and learned from its reactions. This was not just babysitting. It was connection, trust, and understanding across species. By evening, the baby was calm, content, and playful. Ethan had earned its trust completely. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a mix of pride, relief, and something deeper he did not yet understand. Holding the child, he realized how much he had learned in just one day. Patience, empathy, observation, adaptation, these qualities were not just survival skills. They were bridges between worlds. Lyra descended the balcony steps, approaching them with measured grace. "You have done more than I expected," she said. "You have shown patience, courage, and understanding. More importantly, you have shown that humans are capable of remarkable compassion." Ethan felt his heart race. I'm just glad the child is happy," he said humbly. Lyra's eyes softened. "You have earned my consideration, human, and perhaps more. I do not take my promises lightly. Marriage, in my world, is not merely political, it is a commitment, and you have made me consider it seriously." The attendants whispered among themselves. Ethan realized that he was not only building trust with the child and the queen, but also with an entire species. His actions, simple as they seemed, were demonstrating the best of humanity: empathy, understanding, and courage. Lyra placed a delicate hand on the child's back, her touch gentle and careful. "You have proven yourself worthy of my attention," she said to Ethan. "Tomorrow, we'll see if this trust can grow into something even greater. For now, rest." "You have earned it," Ethan nodded, still holding the baby carefully. As he looked around the softly glowing chamber, he felt a sense of wonder he had never experienced before. This was not just a mission, not just to test it, was an opportunity to connect, to show the value of human qualities in a world that had doubted them. As he settled the baby into the cradle for the night, Ethan felt a deep sense of purpose. He had earned a place in the palace, a measure of trust from Queen Lyra, and a connection with a life so small, yet so significant. And he knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, and perhaps the beginning of something extraordinary, something that could change the fate of both humans and Zitherans forever. Ethan stepped back, watching the child sleep peacefully, and whispered softly, "We're in this together, little one, and I'll do everything I can to protect you." Lyra observed from the doorway, a faint smile on her face. She had seen many humans, but Ethan Parker was different. He had shown the qualities she valued most: calmness under pressure, empathy beyond understanding, and courage that did not seek recognition. Tomorrow, she thought, would be the true test not just of his skill, but of his heart and somewhere deep inside. Ethan felt the stirrings of a bond that went beyond words of connection, that promised not only friendship and trust, but perhaps something more profound. The morning sun bathed Zithera's palace in soft violet light, and the air shimmered with warmth and energy. Ethan Parker awoke with a sense of purpose. The past 2 days had tested him beyond anything he expected, first calming an alien infant when no one else could, then proving patience, understanding, and courage under the watchful eyes of the palace and the queen herself. Now he felt ready for the next step. The child was awake, tiny limbs stretching, eyes glowing softly as it noticed Ethan immediately. Its wings fluttered lightly in greeting. Ethan smiled and held out his hands. The baby crawled toward him, his trust now complete. Queen Lyra appeared at the balcony, as she always did, her violet eyes glowing faintly. "Good morning, human," she said, her voice calm but filled with an intensity that Ethan had come to respect. "Today we will see if the bond you have built is strong enough to hold in every circumstance. The palace and my people will observe. This is more than a test of patience, it is a test of your heart." Ethan nodded. "I understand," he said simply. Lyra's attendants prepared the morning activities. A series of challenges awaited. The baby would be exposed to different alien stimuli, floating lights that moved unpredictably, small bursts of energy, interactive toys, and subtle tests of emotional response. Ethan would have to manage each situation while keeping the child calm and engaged. The first test began quickly. A series of glowing orbs hovered in the room, spinning rapidly and changing colors. The baby's eyes widened in excitement and alarm. Ethan adjusted his stance and spoke softly. "It's okay. You can watch them. You can play when you're ready." He extended his hands to stabilize a particularly fast-moving orb. The baby reached out and touched it, and it glowed gently under their combined touch. Lyra watched from above, impressed. "You do not rush. You do not panic. You guide, but you allow the child to lead. This is rare in any species." As the morning progressed, Ethan faced more unexpected challenges. The floating toys began emitting gentle pulses of energy, testing the baby's coordination and instincts. Some toys shot beams of light that moved unpredictably. Ethan remained calm, using soft words, subtle movements, and human intuition to keep the baby reassured. Each time the baby became unsure, Ethan adjusted, showing patience and creativity. "Do you see?" Lyra said to an attendant nearby. "This is not simply babysitting. He adapts. He listens. He learns. These are qualities I rarely see outside my people, and almost never in humans." By midday, Ethan noticed a subtle shift in the baby's behavior. It seemed to anticipate his actions, almost mirroring his calm and steady demeanor. When he smiled, the baby's wings fluttered with joy. When he laughed softly, the infant's tiny cries turned to happy coos. The bond between human and child was undeniable. Lyra descended to the chamber floor, moving gracefully beside Ethan. "You have earned the trust of my child," she said. "Now, you must earn the trust of my people. Watch closely, human. They will test you as well." Ethan followed her gaze. A group of attendants, advisors, and minor nobles had entered. They observed silently, their expressions unreadable. Some appeared skeptical, while others showed curiosity. Ethan felt the weight of their scrutiny. His actions would not only reflect on himself, but on humanity as a whole. The queen gestured toward the infant. "Show them your bond. Show them that a human can understand, protect, and nurture. This is more important than any skill with technology or weaponry." Ethan held the baby carefully and demonstrated the gentle routines he had developed: calming breaths, humming, interactive play, and adaptive guidance with the floating toys. Slowly, he guided the baby through each activity, showing respect for its instincts and encouraging curiosity. The observers remained silent at first, then whispered among themselves. Some began nodding, clearly impressed. Humans had often been dismissed as unpredictable and weak, but here was one who had proven that humanity's greatest strength lay in empathy, patience, and understanding. One elder, a shimmering Zitharan with silver-blue skin, stepped forward. "You have achieved what many of us could not," he said. "You have connected with the child. You have demonstrated qualities we have long sought in a mate for the queen: patience, courage, and compassion." Ethan's chest tightened. The praise was overwhelming, but he focused on the child, keeping it comfortable and happy. The baby cooed softly, resting its glowing head against his shoulder. Lyra observed quietly, a faint smile on her lips. She had made promises before, rewards and political arrangements, but this felt different. Ethan had earned her trust and admiration through genuine action, not ambition or flattery. As afternoon approached, Lyra introduced a final challenge. The palace's energy fields created an unpredictable environment, with shifting gravity and floating platforms. It was a test of focus, agility, and composure. Ethan had to navigate this environment while keeping the baby safe and calm. Ethan moved cautiously, keeping one hand steady on the baby and using the other to stabilize himself on the floating platforms. The baby giggled at the gentle sway, its trust complete. When a platform tilted unexpectedly, Ethan adjusted his stance quickly, ensuring the child remained secure. The observers gasped at his precision and calm under pressure. Lyra's eyes shone with approval. You do not simply survive challenges, you protect, you guide, and you care. This is what matters most. Not skill alone, but heart. As the challenge concluded, Ethan held the baby safely, both of them smiling in their own ways. Lyra approached, placing a delicate hand on the child's back. "You have proven yourself worthy of more than my attention," she said. "You have earned respect from my people, from myself, and most importantly, from my child." Ethan felt a mix of relief and awe. I didn't know what to expect," he said. "I just tried to do what was right." Lyra studied him closely. "That is precisely why you succeeded. You acted with sincerity, patience, and courage. These are qualities that cannot be taught, they must come from within. You have shown that humans are capable of great strength through understanding and care." The attendants murmured their agreement. Ethan realized that he had achieved more than he had ever imagined. Not only had he calmed the Queen's child, but he had earned the trust and admiration of an entire alien court. His actions were a testament to the potential of humanity, its ability to connect, to empathize, and to rise to challenges beyond expectation. Lyra took a deep breath. "Now, human, we must discuss the promise I made. Marriage is not simply a reward, it is a commitment to partnership, to responsibility, and to the future of my people and the child you have cared for." Ethan swallowed, still holding the baby. I accept," he said quietly. "If it is a responsibility, I will do my best. I want to care for your child, for you, and for the future we can build together." Lyra's expression softened. "Very well. This decision is not made lightly. You have demonstrated that your heart is true, that your actions reflect values I hold dear. The child has accepted you, and I accept the sincerity you have shown." The palace attendants and advisors began to nod, some smiling, others whispering excitedly. The human had not only impressed the Queen, but it also demonstrated that humans could embody qualities Zitharans respected and valued deeply. Lyra extended her hand to Ethan. "This is the beginning, not the end," she said. "Together, we will nurture this child, build trust between our peoples, and create a future that honors both human and Zitharan strengths." Ethan took her hand, feeling a sense of unity he had never experienced before. The baby cooed softly in his arms, as if acknowledging the bond being formed. He realized that his journey had begun not with conquest or ambition, but with empathy, patience, and understanding the qualities that made humans truly remarkable. The day ended with a quiet celebration in the palace. Lights shimmered, soft music played, and the palace seemed to pulse with life and harmony. Ethan watched the baby play gently under the soft glow of floating crystals, Queen Lyra by his side. For the first time, he felt a true connection to an alien world, not as a visitor, but as someone who belonged. Lyra spoke softly so only Ethan could hear. "You have shown me that humanity has great potential. You have shown courage, patience, and care. And you have shown that the smallest actions can bridge worlds." Ethan smiled, holding the baby close. "I never thought something so small could teach me so much," he said. The Queen's eyes softened. "It is not the size of the being, but the heart it inspires," she said. "You have earned your place, human. And I look forward to what the future will bring for us, for my child, and for both our peoples." As night fell over Zathera, Ethan looked around the glowing palace, holding the sleeping child. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, the tests, the challenges, and the moments of fear and uncertainty. And he knew one thing for certain: humanity had a place in this galaxy, not just through technology or strength, but through empathy, courage, and understanding. And so, under the glow of Zithra's triple suns and the watchful eyes of its queen, Ethan Parker began a new chapter, not just as a human visitor, but as a protector, a caregiver, and a partner in a story that would unite two worlds forever.